We'll just go with that and up the volume. Politics is for nerds, and I don't talk about the day-to-day politics of Republicans and Democrats that much on this channel because I'm not interested in play-by-play. I'm interested in the long-term ideas, the long-term implications, and whether or not I should invest money in my 401k because society may not be around, so why would I put money in that when I may need it sooner rather than later? That's the metric I use to determine whether or not the end of the world is actually affecting my life. How much money am I going to have in my bank account versus how much money am I going to have in my investment account? However, the midterm elections obviously are significant, so I just want to share some thoughts and some interesting ways to think about things, and maybe it resonates with people. So my intuition, my gut feeling is I am sympathetic to the right as of right now, the Republicans. Why? Because I think the far left has a lot of institutional power, and they're as bad as the far right ideologically. The far right doesn't have any institutional power, although I think 10 years from now they will, and thus the responsibility of the centrist is to push back against them when they ascend. And so, for example, like currently there's a runoff in Georgia between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. And Raphael Warnock is far left preacher, whiteness is the devil, that type of shit.
America needs to repent for its worship of whiteness.
And Herschel Walker, you know, is a hypocrite of all kinds. So it's not like he's a good candidate. But I still feel, even though I don't necessarily rationalize it, I feel a desire to want Herschel Walker to win because I'm just anti-left. But he's a bad candidate, and to be honest, that's how I can understand why someone would vote for John Fetterman, who's, you know, a stroke victim, over Dr. Oz, because Dr. Oz is this absolutely fake, constructed persona who's creepy and weird. Although he did conduct one of the best Jordan Peterson interviews. But that aside, you know, I could understand why I'm going to vote for John Fetterman because even if he's a stroke person that can't actually intuit anything, you know, he could give up his seat to a Democrat or something. Actually, I don't know how that works. If he can't serve, is there another election? I'd have to double check. Point is, I get the political tribalism. I get this candidate sucks, but he's so bad I'm going to vote for him to give power to the overall party. Which is why I think a parliamentary system would be an interesting consideration if America ever went a peaceful revolution and conducted a second constitutional convention. Maybe instead of all these districts with all this gerrymandering, everyone in the population just vote for the party and then, you know, a parliamentary system arise on top of that. Look up a parliamentary system if you don't know what I'm talking about. And maybe I'm getting it wrong, so somebody explain it to me if I'm getting it wrong. Now, I hope that Ron DeSantis is the 2024 candidate to run against Biden or Gavin Newsom or whoever it's going to be. Because Ron DeSantis is a little bit more reasonable than Trump, obviously. And even if Trump had great policies, I think Ron DeSantis can also implement those policies, but not carry all the baggage of being a complete narcissistic moron. And it's going to be interesting because if Ron DeSantis is the nominee, the left, or the narrative on the left, or parts of the left, is going to be Ron DeSantis is actually a worse or more dangerous candidate than Trump was, because Trump was an in-your-face fascist and he was bombastic, but Ron DeSantis is a little more cool and collected, and therefore he's more dangerous. It's just, when the actual fascists show up 10 years from now on the right, we're going to be so exhausted from overusing the language that it's going to be more difficult to combat, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think that Tucker Carlson is going to be the deciding factor between Trump and DeSantis, assuming they're running against each other, which I suspect they will. Tucker Carlson will come out with a segment and say either in his own, you know, sarcastic, like, subtle way, well, why, you know, maybe Trump isn't cut out for this, or maybe DeSantis should, you know, defer to the man who built the party or whatever. So I suspect Tucker will lean towards DeSantis because for as proto-fascistic as Tucker appears to be, which I'll make a video about that at some point, I do think he is using strong rhetoric, but I think he's reasonable and would therefore go with DeSantis because that would be, from my perspective, the reasonable move. So, but all of this is irrelevant because politics is for nerds.